Hey everybody, welcome to another episode from Your Own Pathway Leadership and Mental Well-being in the Workplace. I hope you all are doing very well. For those who don't know me, or if this is the first time that you are joining me in this episode, my name is Paya Vu, and I am a trained psychotherapist, turned coach, and consultant here. I wanted to do this episode actually from my own personal experience and from other experiences that I've had in connecting with other women of color who I have networked with. And so many of us have decided that, you know what? We're just so done with the corporate world and we're going to go our own way because there is so much shit that we're dealing with that we're like, why are we dealing with this shit? Like, why are we dealing with this crap when we know so much and we know that we can do it better and that we can have our own mental well-being once we create our own opportunities? And so this episode is discussing why women of color, why we need to create our own opportunities, and why we need to forge our own path. And so I have met so many amazing women of color, as I mentioned, as a network. And so many of us have such vast experiences from our professional career in the corporate and, the nonprofit and everything we do. And we all seem to have the same story. And I want to say all of our experiences are very different. My experience as an Asian woman, I acknowledge, is very different from an African American woman, a Latina, a Native, a woman with disabilities. We all have very different experiences. Our biases are different. And yet, at the end of the day, it sounds like we all are dealing with the same shit. And so that's why I really wanted to do this episode because I have met so many badass women who are saying, you know what, I'm not going to wait around anymore. I am going to create my own opportunities and I am forging my own path. And so, if you are a woman or a woman of color who is wondering and thinking, is this it? Is this all I have to do and like give for? I've been at my company or my position for the last 10, 15 years and nothing is happening for me. And I know so much shit. I'm at top of my game. I know everything. And yet other people keep getting promoted over me. If you're watching this, perhaps this is your time to create your own opportunities and to forge your own path. So, this episode is for you. And so, my last episode, which was about 2 weeks ago, it was on women and why we are expected to have imposter syndrome. And I wanted to address this too. I think so many of us, women of color, we are expected to have imposter syndrome. And when we don't, people are like, well, why don't you have imposter syndrome? It's like, I don't have imposter syndrome because we know how we got here. We know how we got here. We put in the work, we put in the extra hours or two, we put in the extra time. And so we know our shit, and yet we are still being overlooked for whatever it is, the systematic biases, barriers that seem to keep happening for us. And so this episode is broken up in two parts. So I want to talk about what are the barriers that we are facing into how we can create our own opportunities and forge our own path. So let's get right into it. I wanted to share this episode from, not episode, this article from Lean In, and it's from 2021. And I'm going to share my screen here with all of you here. So bear with me. Okay, I hope you all can see this. And so, as I mentioned, this article is from Lean In, and it's called Women in the Workplace 2021. So, it's about 4 years old, but I feel like a lot of this is so still prevalent for a lot of us women of color. And it's a very extensive and well put article, and it talks about women of color, and it actually breaks down into groups about the struggles and barriers of each group. And The first one that I want to discuss is Asian women. And of course, um, Asian women, I'm not going to read everything because it's a very extensive. And if you want to read more about this and the various groups, I will link this article in the description box too. And it says Asian women are often unfairly overlooked at work. Even when their overall performance ratings are strong, Asian women are less likely than other groups of women to receive positive feedback on their leadership abilities. They have fewer informal interactions with senior leaders, and they are less likely to be seen and noticed as individuals. More than 1 in 6 Asian women say they are frequently mistaken for someone else of the same race. And because of this, colleagues and managers may overlook their specific contributions. And I think I can say this for a lot of women of color when I say we've often been mistaken for someone else. I don't know about you, but I've been mistaken for somebody else. They're like, hey, are you this and this? I'm like, no, that's somebody else. I'm Paia. They're, oh, okay. And so I'm sure a lot of us women of color have been mistaken for someone else because there are so little of us, and yet they're still mistaking us for that one person or that two other person. So, let's see here. Actually, it talks about that. So, for many Asian women who work in professions dominated by men, the challenges are even more acute. Asian women who are double onlys, often both the only woman and the only Asian person in the room, have a particularly bad experience. They're more likely to experience microaggressions to feel that that promotions are based on objective criteria and to be unhappy with their company. And so it kind of just goes more into details about this. Um, and here is a quote from person here, and I wanted to read this one actually. So, I feel like I've had to work harder. Compared to my peers, I've had to do more work to prove myself and to show that I am worthy of advancement. I feel like the bar for me is higher when it comes to getting recognized. I also think that I have this reputation of, oh, she'll be able to fix it. And maybe it's because they expect that I'm probably going to work myself to death to get something done. I just feel like the expectation is different. And this is stated by a Southeast Asian woman, VP, children under 10, and who is an immigrant. And for anybody who has felt this, please put it in the comments. And I think a lot of us, I speak for this. Like I think it's a women also, and it's even more when you are a woman of color. We are expected just to put more in. And so this is talks about the Asian women. And the next group that I wanted to focus on for this article is Latinas. Okay. So Latinas are less likely than other women to have a high degree of flexibility in their jobs, which makes it balancing work and life especially difficult. Compared to other races and ethnicities, Latinas are less likely to say they have flexibility to take time off for family or personal reasons, and they are less likely to be able to step away from work to deal with unexpected events. For Latinas who identify as immigrants, these numbers are even lower. And it goes on to talk about how many Latina women live in generational households, and they are often the caregiver for the elderly and their children. And so they have this double duty. Um, N Let's see here. So here is a quote from a Latina manager. I identify as a Latina first generation Mexican American. In our culture, one of the biggest things we live in is multi-generational households. So my nephews, my parents, my siblings, we all lived together during the pandemic. I had to be very cautious about working on site because I would put a lot of family members at risk if I got sick with COVID. It was extremely stressful. And at the beginning of the pandemic, I was still being asked to come to the office. And so I just had to say no. I do not think it hindered my career. I do think it hindered my career. Later, when a position opened up, I found out that a director in my group has said, "Oh, we can't count on her. Let's move on to someone else." And so, because of family duties and being put in that position, people, higher ups didn't think that this person was reliable. So, of course, that hinders their promotion and their ability to make more money. And so this is a Latina. And lastly, I wanted to focus on Black women. So, Black women, by almost any measure, Black women are facing disproportionately high barriers in the workplace. They are heavily impacted by bias in hiring and promotions. Black women are promoted at a lower rate than white women at their first step up to manager, and more than a quarter of Black women say their race has led them to missing out on opportunities to advancement. Um, they also talk about, to add to their burden, Black women are far more likely than other employees to be coping with the impact of racism and racial trauma. More than 60% of Black women have been personally affected by racial trauma in the past year. We're seeing a lot of this in 2025 about DEI, and Black women say we don't, we're pessimistic about our DEI. And again, 2025 is all about dismantling DEI. So let's see here. Here is a quote from a Black woman who was a senior manager. Talks about the barriers that they face. Someone told me that I was so articulate. They thought they were paying me a compliment. It's frustrating to hear those comments, to have your decisions questioned, to be perceived as the angry Black woman. It is very stressful. The average person has no idea about the stress that women and people of color carry. They have no idea about the small ways that women and people of color get humiliated, and that many feel undermined or made to feel smaller than they are. It happens all the time. And again, this is a quote from Black women senior manager. And so, again, this article is very extensive, and I'm not going to go through all of it. I just wanted to share the barriers and all the struggles that women of color are going through, especially in the corporate workplace. I am going to link this article in the description box here. So I'm going to stop sharing and let's get right back into it here. I mean, hearing about this does not surprise me at all. This does not surprise me at all. Just talking about my own personal experience, I started working in 2008, and in 2022 I decided, you know what? I'm going to stop working for other people because I'm so done working so hard and not being recognized. And the more work I put in, the more I got punished because I became too reliable. I became too reliable. I became too good at my job. And when you become too reliable, when you become too good, you don't get promoted because nobody else can do the job that you can. So it actually became more of a hindrance than being recognized. And so, because of that, and if you're a woman of color, I think we all can speak and say we have to put in so much more work than other people. We have to prove ourselves. We have to prove our competency just to show that we're as good as the lowest person on the team. And because that other person may be white, but they may not know their stuff, but we have to work twice as hard or three times as hard just to say I know as much as that person, and that person doesn't even know much, and yet I have to work two times, three times as hard. And it gets old after a time. I remember wondering why I wasn't promoted. I put in so much work. I do this, I do that. I put in extra projects. I volunteer. And at the end of the day, it's like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And many of us women of color know that we know our shit. We know our shit. We know our job. We're damn good at our job. We're so good at our job but people don't want to promote us because that would be a big loss to our boss, to our company, and they want to keep us there. And so those are some of the barriers on why we have to create our own opportunities and we have to forge our own path. I think about this. I think about how the corporate world is very much like a high school where, during lunch, all the cool kids sit at a certain table, other kids sit at a certain table. It's very, it's very, what's the word? You are in a particular group, and I view corporate as like high school. You're wanting to be invited to the table to where all the cool kids sit or the kids that you want to sit by. Corporate setting is very much like that. And as a woman of color, especially, you're wondering, I'm doing all the right things. When am I ever going to sit at that table? When am I going to get to sit with those group of people? Those group of people is usually leadership. And you're thinking, you're waiting, 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 and nothing happens. 1 year goes by, 2 years go by, 5 year goes by, 10 years go by, and you're still at the same table, and everybody else has been sitting at that table or got invited to that table, and you know that you know more and that you're better. And when I say when you're better, I don't mean that as an arrogance. Like, you have skills, you have knowledge, you know so much, and yet that table refuses to see you for who you are. When you start feeling that way, you know that you have to create your own table. This is when you know you have to forge your own path. So, here are here are reasons why we have to create our own opportunities and we have to forge our own path. Number one, on why we have to forge our own path is the truth is traditional systems were not built for us. And many industries still have gatekeeping, they have biases and unequal opportunities. These systems rely on traditional career paths that mean being overlooked, often means being underpaid or being undervalued. And we've all been through this, especially women of color. When you work hard, you put yourself out there, you feel like, oh, I'm finally going to be seen. I'm finally going to be seen. I'm doing all this extra work. There's no results. You're not being seen. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. You're being seen as, wow, this person's reliable. Wow, this person is so well rounded. They're doing 2 to 3 people's job. We can't promote them because that means that we're gonna have to hire 2 or 3 people. No, we'd rather keep this person where they are because they're too good and they're too reliable at their job. And so all the extra work that you thought would get you promoted has actually backfired. So, and when you control your success, your income, and your impact, and when you put yourself out there to be seen, people finally see you and your brand. And so this is why when systems are not meant for us, we have to create our own opportunities and we have to forge our own path. We have to create our brand. We have to put our message out there. We become consultants. We become whatever it is that we want to do. And we're damn good at it because we're damn good at our job. And so you have to shift your mindset and said, I don't need a seat at their table. You know what? I'll build my damn own. Yes, build your damn own table. Second thing is breaking generation barriers and creating wealth. So many women of color are first generation professionals, entrepreneurs, or leaders. We're the generation Chris breakers. We're the ones making it happen. We're the ones that said, you know what, we're gonna make something happen, and we're gonna be different from previous generations. We're gonna make a difference. And we went to school, we got our college degrees, we got into professional jobs. We hope for the best and realize, you know what, nothing is happening. We're putting all this work and nothing's happening, and then we remember we're we're good at this. We are, again, we're the generation curse breakers. We're the innovators. We're the entrepreneurs. We're the leaders, and so we have to build our own opportunities. And it's not just a paycheck. We're creating a legacy and financial freedom. That's what we all want. It's the financial freedom. We don't want to be told what to do. We don't want to be told how to do this. We don't want to tell about other people who are less knowledgeable than us that no, this is right. It's like, no, that's wrong. This is right. And so we're like, we know our stuff and we're gonna create our own opportunities, our own legacy, and make our own money. And we're gonna own it. We're going to own it and we are going to create generational wealth, not only for us, but for our families and for anybody else. And so we are building wealth. And so we have to shift our mindset and say, we are the foundation for our future generations. Another thing, a third thing that is a barrier for many of us, and I don't know about y'all, but finding mentorship was so difficult because people you thought that they wanted to be your mentor, and then once you got to know them or whatever, you found out, you know what? They're in it for themselves too. And honestly, I don't blame them. I don't blame them because everybody else is in there for themselves. Your boss is in there for yourself. When you think that your boss is going to be a mentor and they're doing things to get promoted, yeah, but you're still stuck and you're wondering, what about me? And because of limited access to leadership and mentorship, women of color are rarely seen in leadership roles, which means fewer mentors for us who understand our lived experiences. Women of color are often passed over for promotions and are labeled as not ready. How many of us have been labeled as not ready? I've applied for jobs that I was told I was not ready, that I wasn't ready because I didn't have the experience, or I did not have the personality, or I did not have the traits to take on this role because they needed someone who was going to be big and scary to be intimidating, and I was too nice. I've been told that I was too nice and that people wouldn't take me seriously, despite meeting all the qualifications for that job. Without representation at the top, it's harder for women of color to climb the ladder through traditional paths. We see we tend to see the same people get promoted over and over and over. And, as a therapist, I worked with some of the biggest 500 Fortune companies here in Minnesota. I remember having a conversation with one of my clients who was a white male about the same age as me, and he got promoted very, very quickly. Had a business degree, and got promoted quickly. And he made this comment one day during session that I was just like, you don't recognize your privilege at all. And he mentioned, he's like, I some of my colleagues think that I have it way too easy and that I get promoted, and they don't understand. And so there's this sense of like, almost like, I don't say jealousy, but he didn't understand why people were not taking him seriously as a boss. And I thought, okay, lack of self-awareness there. You are, again, male, white, MBA, and you get promoted within a year, like that, and you wonder why some of the people who you've been working with, who've been there longer, have not got promoted. And so we see so much of this where it's the same people getting promoted over and over and over, and you're wondering, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. The system was not made for us, and it's just hard to climb through the corporate ladder via traditional paths. And so instead, many of us, women of color, choose to build our own ladders, and we bring people with us. We bring the people who have uplifted us, who believe in us and say, you know what? You know your shit, and I'm going to start a company, and you're going to come with me, and we're going to make this happen. Because if we stay here, nothing's ever going to happen, and we're going to do this. So I'm building my ladder, and you're coming with me. So that's point number 3. Number 4 on why we have to forge our own path. And it means for women of color that we creating our own opportunity means building a community. I remember, and whoever is watching this, I don't know who's watching this, for people who are in my community, who are women of color, You mean the world to me because you showed me that that I wasn't alone. That there is a community out there, and that regardless, even though you and I may be different cultures, different ethnicities, different races, when you and I talk, we have this sense of community and belonging and understanding. And when women of color, we create opportunities, we just don't do it for ourselves, we do it for other women also. We uplift and we empower other women in the process. And I love talking to other women of color, especially when they are going through whatever challenge it is that they're going through. And we connect, and I say, you can do this. Like, I encourage you to do what it is that you want to do. And they will respond to me, thank you. You're the first person to say that to me. Yes, I will always empower. I will always tell women to do what is best for them and create your own opportunities, because more women, especially more women of color, need to hear this from one another. And whether it's starting a business, a scholarship fund, a podcast, or even anything, it creates space for more people to thrive. I mean, starting a podcast and even doing this YouTube channel has allowed me to speak with some amazing badass women who are doing amazing things, not only for themselves, but for the community, for everyone. And that's the whole purpose of starting a podcast, was building the community, talking to other people who are making a difference in this world that we otherwise would not know about. And so it causes a ripple effect. When we open one door, a hallway opens for other people. It's about a legacy, it's not just success. And so final thoughts are, when women of color, we deserve more than just survival. We deserve power, we deserve peace, we deserve prosperity, and we are claiming all of this for ourselves. We we create our own table and we sit at it. It's like, we don't need your table. I'm going to create my own table. We're going to create our own table, and we're going to bring a whole community with us. Because when we bring a community, we heal, and we empower, and we have so much insight that we can help communities, we can help society, we can help so much more than just one person. So I want to end this episode with, of course, again, my favorite lady, Mindy Kaling, who is, I just think it's wonderful. Again, I know some people don't care for her. I love her because she is an epitome for me of a woman of color who created her own opportunities. Because let's face it, Hollywood does not have a lot of roles for women of color, especially South South Asian women. And so she had to create her own opportunities. And um I wanted to read a few of her words here. And let's see here. Let me present. Share screen. Okay. Quotes of diversity. Let's do this here. Okay. So this is just a lot of things here from Mindy. One of them that I wanted to work on to not disguise, goodness. Okay, this is what she said here. Did you ever experience imposter syndrome? And if so, how did you work to overcome it? And I think I quote this on the previous episode about imposter syndrome, but the specific area that I wanted to to really focus on was when she said, because I can speak for a lot of women of color when I say, we know how we got there. We were there an hour early and we left 2 hours after everyone else. So, my advice for people who feel like they might have imposter syndrome is always, if you reflect on all the hard work you did, all the boxes you checked, and all the times you outworked everybody else, it will cure you of that syndrome pretty fast. You know how you got there. So, great quote from, of course, the fabulous Minnie Kaling. And lastly, the last quote from her was, okay, creating your own opportunities. So, as again I mentioned, Minnie created her own opportunities. And so she writes a lot of her own parts. On writing your own part, write your own part. It is the only way I've gotten anywhere. It is much harder work, but sometimes you have to take destiny into your own hands. It forces you to think about your strengths, what your strengths really are. And once you find them, you can showcase them and no one can stop you. Wonderful words from Mindy. I wanted to end it on that note. And again, if you're a woman of color who is watching this, who has experienced this, who's ready to forge your own path, write down in the comments, share what you plan to do, what your hopes, your dreams are. And again, we all know our shit. We know we're good. We put in more work. We know our stuff. We're good. And so sometimes people will never see how badass we are. And they will never see how badass we are. So we have to create, as Minnie said, we have to take our own destiny and create our own opportunities and forge our own path. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are new to the my channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you have any comments, if you have any thoughts, please share it in the comment section. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you all next time and have a wonderful day and take care, everybody. Bye.